Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Monkmatics. This is the channel that's going to remove bias from all of your UFC bets and your UFC DraftKings lineups. I am your host, Monk, aka Monkmaster Flex, aka the Loniest Monk, and let's get right into it. Since this is the first episode, as I said, this is the spreadsheet that we're pretty much going to be dealing with for the entire time. It's pretty awesome to look at, very colorful. Obviously, all you need to know, red is bad, green is good, yellow is tie, draw, whatever you want to call it. So, that said, let's get into the first fight of the night, which is an absolute banger. Just kidding. Alan Amadovsky versus Yao Zong Hu. Both guys are 0-2 in the UFC. Yao Zong has fought at heavyweight. I should say he's lost at heavyweight, and he's lost at light heavyweight as well. So he's going to give it a go at middleweight against Amadovsky here. Amadovsky is 5 inches shorter than Yao Zong, but he does have a 2-inch reach advantage. Both fighters are orthodox, and they are 7 years apart, almost to the day in age, with Yao Zong being the younger fighter. Alan is 8-2 overall. 0-2 in the UFC, as I mentioned, and Yao Zong is 3-2, a whopping 3-2 professionally, 0-2 in the UFC. Let's get into some numbers here. Average fight time, 7.6 compared to 11.2. So obviously he gets finished or gets the finish. As we know, he gets finished a little bit quicker than most. This AWI, this is one of my favorite stats that I think I made up. I don't know. I'm calling it the ass whooping index. Basically, it's did you get your ass whooped in the fight? And if you did, how bad? And if you whooped some ass, how bad did you whoop some ass? So that is a good, kind of a fun and good number to have. Power index, obviously, what's your power like? Chin index is the opposite of that. Do you get knocked out? So this guy, as you can tell, Alan Amadovsky, doesn't whoop anybody's ass. Doesn't have any power, meaning he's never knocked anyone down in the UFC. And his chin index, 2.08, that might seem low, but I guarantee you that is a very high chin index. He gets touched in his chin. Chin index over here, all the numbers are better. This is still a terrible number, minus 16 AWI. That is really bad. 0 is like a draw. 0 is an even fight. Power index, same. Chin index, not great, but definitely not a 2. So he's looking a little better there. Let's take a look at the odds coming up. What does Vegas say? Vegas says this fight gets finished by Alan Amadovsky. And we'll kind of look at the numbers to see if we think they're right or wrong. He is a minus 150 to a plus 120 favorite. So not too bad, but let's check it out here. Upcoming DraftKings salary, we got $9,000 for a guy that's never won in the UFC, against $7,200 for a guy that's also never won in the UFC. Scoring here, we're not going to be able to see too much. If you notice these rankings here, these rankings are rankings for the fight that's coming up, right? Or I guess the fight that they last fought in, so the fighter's weight class. So, for instance, all the rankings on the left for Amadovsky are going to be out of the middleweight division, which you see right here. I have 49 fighters in my database from the middleweight division. And then Yao Zong's stats or rankings are all going to be coming from the light heavyweight division. As you can see here, I have 35 of those in my database. Doesn't sound like a lot. I'm working on it every day, adding more. But currently I think I have about 475 fighters in my database. All of them are active for the most part, meaning not retired. But I definitely still have some to go. So these aren't 100% accurate, but it does give you a gist of where they sit in their divisions respectively. Excuse me. So that said, we'll take a look at some fight projections. And anytime there's scoring mentioned, that's for DraftKings. This originally is meant for DraftKings, but most of the stats, the hard stats, the numbers, you can obviously apply to your thought process when making bets as well. So if you don't play DraftKings, you're not going to have much to do with these projections. Obviously, any of this DraftKings data, but that's about 10% of what we're going for here. The rest of this spreadsheet is all hardcore numbers. So that said, let's jump back into the projections here. 9,000, 7,200. Like I said, neither one of them scores pretty well. Their average, since they haven't won a fight, is just 1, so it's just average. He does score decently. Yao Zong, that is, scores decently when he loses. But we're not really wanting to have anything to do with people that lose in DraftKings or BetWise. Let's see. Projections here. Hugh does have, or Yao Zong, excuse me, does have better projections in decisions. By almost 20 points, both sides. Finish-wise as well. So if basically this is telling you if Yao Zong wins, I think that he's going to have a higher score DraftKings than if Amadovsky wins, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm still kind of working through how to describe this best to you guys. My girlfriend is completely sick of me trying to tell, oh, look at this, look what I did with this. So now all you nerds can nerd out with me and my nerd self, and we'll just have a nerd fest. Anyways, let's move on to the DraftKings data. Oh, actually, let's back up. Our projection numbers right here, 104. The number right under it is the value. So you compare that with the salary calculation and you get your overall value. Double digits is good. Anything over 11 is ideal, in my opinion. 12 is really, really, really good. DraftKings data. Let's move on to this. This is going to have to do with scoring relative to DraftKings points. So I'll just kind of breeze through it. Basically, I mean, it's self-explanatory. You got your total scored, which Alan Amadovsky has fought for 15 minutes, and he scored not even 9 points, DraftKings. So, yeah, I don't know about all that. This is the number I like, the raw DraftKings points per minute. It's the number of DraftKings points he scores per minute without any bonuses or anything like that, just strictly statistics. He scores a whopping 0.56 per minute. Sounds low. It is low. It's very, very low. He gives up 5.24. So that's the lowest in the division at 49, and the highest at third highest he gives up at 47. We don't have any numbers for his wins. Let's see. Average salary, average value, also 0.54. Not great. Raw differential of DraftKings points, 4.5. And then we got some graphs here. So actually, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Yao Zong. 230 a minute, which is about, halfway, about average. He gives up 4.65, not great. Let's see, he scored 25 points in his fight, and he gives up 102, so his opponents do well in his fights against him. This here is just a graphical depiction of how they score their points. So if you look here at Yao Zong, 80.5% of his DraftKings points come from striking, which is obviously significant strikes landed, total strikes landed, and knockdowns with their points added up accordingly. Meanwhile, he is 19.43% grappling scoring, and that includes, if we look through it, takedown, control time percentage, and reversal points. That's what you get for points on grappling. So it's basically just divided up in those two categories. Alan Amadovsky, his 8.5 points, he's gotten, almost 2/3 of them by grappling. Most guys, it's the opposite. It looks a lot like this, striking to grappling. But you kind of get the sense of what a guy does more. If he's a striker, if he likes to go to the ground, if he clinches a lot. So it kind of gives you a sense of what you're working with both sides of the fight. Fight finishing data. This really won't be a lot. This is, at least for these two guys, this is how they finish their fights. And 2 fights between them. Let's see. They've each been finished once. No finish wins. Half of their losses have come by finish. Half of his losses have come by decision. So we know 1 knockout loss, 1 submission, or one knockout loss, 1 decision loss. And the same thing on the other side, but he has 1 decision or submission loss and 1 decision loss, Yao Zong. So both guys get finished, neither guy has finished, is what that says. This is another graphical display, just a few different ways to look at it. This one looks messy and there's nothing there. That's because he has no wins. so nothing shows up. So till he gets in the win column, you don't get no graph. Losses, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just an easier way to take a look at some stuff. Anything that's clustered around means 0. It'll be a little bit more fun to look at when you get guys with more than 2 fights in their history. So then we go on to the meat of this whole thing. We get into some real stats here. The way I do it, I compile all the stats historically, so you get a big picture of what they've done over their career. That's not necessarily the best measuring stick when you're trying to make a bet or a prediction for this weekend. For instance, Dustin Poirier is not the same fighter he was when he fought Conor the first time than when he fought Conor the last time, obviously. So you can't really take that chunk of numbers and make a decent prediction. So what I've tried to do to kind of even that out a little bit is I've gotten the data from the last 5 fights from each of them and compiled that. We get a little bit different of a number, and we can see how the fighter has been trending over time. Now, all that said, with these two guys, it is not going to mean anything because they have 2 fights. So these numbers are all going to be the same numbers that we see down lower. So we're going to skip this whole thing. 5-fight history, no graphs, obviously, because they don't have anything. And we'll go on to strength of schedule. Now, my strength of schedule, I do basically like college football does theirs. I used to be a big fan of college football. Go Big Red, still root for them. But I didn't like how a lot of the UFC pages that I saw had strength of schedule, which was basically just the win percentage of their opponent. Obviously, a strength of schedule and an opponent's win percentage is not the same thing, or else it wouldn't exist as 2 different things. So that said, I've got their opponent's pro record right here, last 5. All this is just for the last 5 opponents. So Alan Amadevsky's last 5, 60 and 24. Hugh Yaozong, 20 and 15. So big difference there. 71% not great, 57% even worse. Strength of schedule. So this is basically his last 5 opponents record added up. I know that's confusing. You can rewind it, slow it down, and you'll get it. It took me a few times as well. So basically, higher number means you fight a harder strength of schedule. Lower number means a easier strength of schedule. So Alan Amadevsky, obviously, throughout this whole thing, has a better strength of schedule, a tougher. The guys he's beaten, strength of victory. That means the guys that he's beaten are tougher than the guys that Hugh Yaozong has beaten, and that's personally the lowest strength of victory I've ever seen at 0.25. So there you go. Strength of defeat, it's how tough were the guys that you lost to. So with all that, Amadevsky wins the strength of schedule battle, in my opinion. Here's the last 2 opponents, and I only track UFC. I should have mentioned that off the top. I only track UFC fights. I don't track any other I'm blanking out, federation or anything, nothing like that. I don't even track Dana White Contender Series fights because that's technically a different promotion. There's the word I was looking for. So I only do UFC. So anything that's outside of the UFC, I don't count unless it comes to strength of schedule. Then I look at those numbers. So obviously for these 2 guys, we only have 2 fights. Got Alan Amadevsky got knocked out by John Phillips in less than half a minute. Not much to say there. Look at that ass whooping index on that fight, minus 558. I don't have to tell you that's really, really bad. He also lost to Christoph Jotko, 3-round decision, not especially close at minus 21. He's been outstruck. Let's see, he got outstruck by 37. He landed 6 significant strikes in 15 minutes for a whopping 0.4 strike per minute. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. This guy's numbers are abysmal. Let's go over to Yao Zhang. Same deal. He doesn't get his ass kicked by as much, but he got subbed by Cyril Asker, taken down 4 times. And then Rashad Coulter also beat him, unanimous decision. That one was a pretty close fight, but he did not get the nod there. So let's go down. These are graphs of basically the stats on top, but over the past 5 fights. This one isn't going to be very visually cool to break down for you because these guys aren't very dynamic. But we can try. So significant strikes per minute versus significant strikes landed against per minute. You can see down here, blue is our fighter that we're looking at, Amadovsky. Orange is his last 5 opponents, which I do have listed, Krzysztof Jotko, John Phillips right there. The same color lines that are dashes are trend lines, so that kind of helps you know which direction the fighter is trending. I know it's not a future guarantee or anything of what's going to happen, but it does show you what's been happening over the past 5 fights. You can kind of see the green line here is the average for our fighter, and the yellow line here is his last 5 opponents' average. Generally, you want green to be above yellow. It is the opposite of that in this case. Takedown average, he has nothing for takedowns, and he gave up 4 to Jotko. Control time, same thing. Raw DraftKings points, same thing. So you can kind of take a look at those graphs, see how you want to go. I'm going to try to speed this up. I've been talking about this terrible fight for way longer than I want to, but I'm just trying to explain the spreadsheet a little bit. Now here's the meat and potatoes of this entire thing, is all the raw data, striking data. We've got accuracy, striking defense, significant strikes landed against, striking differential. Those are the main ones I look at in this entire model right here. So, like I said, 49 fighters in the middleweight division. He is Amadovsky's last in accuracy, 3rd to last in defense, last in significant strikes landed per minute. Actually, average for landed against per minute. He didn't get his ass beat down too bad, but you have that there. His significant striking differential is 2nd to last in the middleweight division at a negative 0.2 or negative 2.62. And as you can see, this is why I color code everything. We got a whole bunch of red on the left-hand side and a whole lot of green on the right-hand side. Now, if you remember, our salaries and our Vegas odds say Amadovsky's going to win. Yeah? I mean, that's what both DraftKings and Vegas thinks. So now we're looking to see if we have a problem with that, or if we don't, or if we agree with it. Really, we're staying away, I would hope. If you're betting, you're not betting this fight at all. And if you're playing DraftKings, you're probably putting your money on Yao Zong, and a lot less on Amadovsky. $9,000 for Amadovsky. All this red? I don't know. Anyways, significant striking accuracy, 52. That's good for 11th out of 35th. Defense, not too great. Significant strikes landed against. He's got also a negative striking differential. Not anywhere near as bad as our man Allen over here. Some more of these numbers we'll get into later when we have more interesting fighters. Then we go on to knockdown data. They're virtually identical. No knockdowns for, 1 knockdown against a piece. Blah, blah, blah. Pretty self-explanatory. Takedown data. I mean, Amadovsky has not even attempted a takedown. Yao Zong has attempted 1. Neither one, or that has not landed. Both of them, 0% takedown defense. 4 of 4 takedowns given up. Allen averages, what, 4? Almost 4 takedowns landed against per 15. And that's 4 for 4. Whereas 2.6 for Yao Zong. Control time. Lots of red and lots of green. This seems to be a pattern here once we get into the numbers. Amadovsky pretty much is literally last in every single category, except for control time against. That's average. Whereas Yao Zong is average to better than average in his fights. He has 24%, almost 25% control time in his fights, and he has lost both of them. But he also gives up a little bit more than that at 28. Whereas Amadovsky has been controlled 63% of his fights. Submissions, not much to see here. 1 attempt for, 1 attempt against. Yao Zong did not get the submission, but did get submitted. And then we're deep dive into some advanced striking data. Head strikes, body strikes. I'm just going to, you can pause the video here if you want to get into it. What I do with this stuff is I kind of see what jumps out at me. So for instance, head striking, close to the back of the line for Amadovsky. He does have the #1 body striking defense, but it's such a small sample size, you really can't count any of these numbers for anything. For instance, he's first in head strikes landed. What's he got? 8. So yeah. Oh, because that's all he's thrown. Okay, 8. He's thrown no other strikes. Sorry, I was looking at that number wrong. So here's our graphical representation of the stuff that we just looked at. It's basically the same thing as above. Kind of tells you what the guy likes to do, maybe what he's susceptible to as well. And with that, now that we've gotten through that very long and arduous first fight, I'll try to make the rest of them go a little bit quicker. No, I cannot type without looking at the keyboard. I am a millennial and I did not learn that in school, but that's okay. I don't have to. I can spell like a so good. Anyways, our second fight of the night, Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Jerome Rivera. Flyweight fight, I believe, and Jerome Rivera is cutting down from featherweight. Let's scroll down to see his fights. Let's see, he's fought in 3 different, 3 different weight classes. First UFC fight was bantamweight. Didn't like that fight against Nam. Dropped down to flyweight. Didn't like that fight against Francisco Figueiredo. So he moved up 2 weight classes to featherweight, and Odie Osborne put him away. So we're going to try our hand here again at flyweight. And we'll kind of get into it. So 5'10" versus 5'4", 6-inch reach advantage as well. And also about 6.5 years younger for Jerome Rivera. Zhalgas 13-5, Rivera 10-5, 0-2 for Zhalgas in the UFC, 0-3 for Rivera. So again, the second fight in a row on this card, a pay-per-view card with absolutely no UFC wins. Okay, let's just put that out there. Zhalgas, average fight time 15 minutes, so he's only been to decision. 7 minutes for Rivera, gets his ass whooped, has no power, and has a terrible chin. Whereas Zhalgas at least fights pretty evenly, not much power, or no power, and chin is good. Never been knocked down. Vegas says fight goes to decision, and Zhalgas wins by decision. They're completely counting out Jerome Rivera on this one. Fight projections, let's see, 9,300. Again, this is the second fighter over $9,000 or 9,000 or over for DraftKings that doesn't have any wins. So I don't understand how that works, but maybe you can find a way to exploit that. 6,900 for Jerome Rivera. Basically, I'd say if you're gonna, I'm not betting on this fight either, but if you're gonna play it on DraftKings, you're gonna have more Rivera than Zhumagulov just because of that salary right there and the possible value. I mean, look at that. Round 1 finish. That gets you a 14x for your value. That's amazing. Anyways, we'll go on to the projection numbers. Pretty good for Zhumagulov, not great for Rivera. Decent decision projection, 7-5. Yeah, okay. Either way, we're still not, bettors don't care about that number, and at DraftKings, you don't care about that number either because it's not high enough to make any kind of optimal lineup. You need that round 1 finish, round 2 finish, round 3 finish with a lot of action happening. DraftKings data, we'll move on to that. Let's see, we'll just go kind of through the important ones. I want to make this a little bit quicker. Raw DraftKings points per minute, very even with the points he gives up, negative 0.2 differential. Rivera, only 2 points a minute, gives up twice that. So, not looking great for him. Striker versus striker, a little bit more grappling for Zhalgas. Actually, I shouldn't say striker versus striker. Jerome Rivera is definitely looking like that, though. His only grappling points, most of it has probably been from a reversal or two, and then a tiny bit of control time. He does get grappled. These are the 40% of his opponent's points have come from grappling. So if Zhalgas has any ground game, which we'll find out if he does, he should be able to use that. Fight finishing data. Neither guy has ever been finished. Neither guy has ever finished. Actually, scratch that. Zhumagulov has never been finished. 2 decision losses. Jerome Rivera has only been finished in the UFC. 2 knockout losses. So not much to look at here with the small number of fights. Let's go to the fight history, his last 5, which we don't have anything there. We're going to skip that as well due to the low number of fights. We'll go on to strength of schedule. Clearly dominated by Zhumagulov. Every number is in the 70s here, higher 70s. Strength of defeat, very good. So a guy he lost to, so the guys that he lost to, excuse me, are actually pretty good, have pretty good records, and their opponents have pretty good records as well. Basically, it tells you if they've been fighting cans or not. That's kind of what we're trying to figure out at a glance. Jerome Rivera, the opposite of Zhumagulov. Nothing really special here. The guys he lost to aren't great. The guys he beat aren't great. Let's see. Quick look at the numbers. Minus 551, minus 526. So we're pretty even there. Got outscored or outlanded one fight. Takedowns, blah, blah. You can just kind of look at it if you like. That's what these numbers are here for. Otherwise, these videos are going to be 4 hours long. I'm trying to keep this to 2 hours with 13 fights, and I've already gone way over, I can tell. Let's look at our graphs. Don't do it. Significant strikes landed per minute. So we got our green line over our yellow line for the most part. Both trending up, which isn't, you don't want to see your opponent's numbers trending up, but as long as yours are trending up and even higher than theirs, then, you know, it shouldn't be a problem. Control time, not much from Zalgas. So we have that. Jerome Rivera, anything standing out? He's got no takedowns. He doesn't score hardly anything for DraftKings. Just kind of gets beat in every way so far, in all 21 minutes of his fights. Striking data, real quick. A little less than 50%, 6th best in the flyweight division. 58.62 defense. Lands 4.2 significant strikes a minute while absorbing 4. Positive strike differential, not by much, but it is positive, and it is better than the negative .33 striking differential that we see Jerome Rivera with. And how long have I been out of focus? Okay. Well, I hope not long. I guess that's first video thing. I'm not starting it over. Sorry. You're not here for this anyways. I hope not anyway. Let's move on to knockdown data. Nothing much to speak of here except Jerome Rivera has been knocked down twice in his 2 fights. Let's see, 1 each. Or he has 3 fights. Sorry, yeah, he got knocked down by Tyson Nam and he got knocked down by Odie Osborne. Let's see. Let me line this up here. So we got lots of green to lots of red. So if you're looking for that upset, I'm not seeing it over here. Let's keep looking. Takedown data, 0% from Rivera. 33% takedown defense. No bueno there. Takedown accuracy, 21%. Not great. Takedown defense is the same as it is for Rivera. Not great. Control time. Both these guys get controlled, and neither one of them do any of the controlling. 3%, 5%, 14.5% against, 36% almost against for Rivera. Submission gain, there is none to speak of. There's a reversal in there. Here's the advanced striking data if you want to take a look at that. And if you're wondering why some of these rankings are equal, even though the numbers are clearly different, it's because we're dealing with 2 different weight classes here. So what stands out to me here? Not much. Leg striking accuracy is pretty good. Leg strikes per minute, he gives up a lot. Actually, that's about half. So we might be able to land some leg kicks on Rivera there. I don't see anything good out of Rivera, except his leg strikes landed per minute is actually pretty good. Leg strikes landed against over here towards the lower end, so we might be able to land a couple. Other than that, I don't see anything at all. Zalgas lands the highest percentage of body shots in the flyweight division at 38.4. And just for fun, we'll see how. Let's see. Jerome Rivera, 20% of the shots he's absorbed are body shots. So you might see some of that there. Body shots versus kicks. We'll just kind of see. Here's the graphs for you. Make sure my head's out of the way. My possibly blurry head. Hopefully that wasn't like that for too long. Anyways, I mean, these guys don't have much fight time, so take what you will from this. Yeah. Let's get on to the next fight. Maybe some guys with history. Or ladies. Not in this case, not yet. Brad Tavares versus Omari Akhmedov. This is another one where looking at the numbers, I don't understand the salary or the odds, for that matter. In every way except for strength of schedule, it leans towards Akhmedov. But let's take a look. This is going to be in the middleweight division. About the same height, about the same reach, and about the same age. Brad Tavares 18-7, Omari Akhmedov 21-5-1. Tavares 13-6 in the UFC. Omari 9-4-1 in the UFC. This is a battle of ranked fighters. We've got Tavares at 15 and Akhmedov at 13. Average fight time 13 minutes for Tavares, 11, so he does get finished or finish his fights a little bit quicker. Has a negative ass whooping index, while Akhmedov has a almost 4 ass whooping index. The power index is virtually identical, as our man Goldberg would say, but it does favor Omari a little bit. Chin index, Brad definitely has been knocked down many more times than Omari. So as you can see there, 0.89 to 0.47. That's towards the lower end of the division for Tavares. Betting says that Tavares should win by decision, 164 to 134. Like I said, we'll get into that. I don't necessarily see that. Fight projections, $8,600 salary for Tavares, while Omari Akhmedov has $7,600. The numbers just, again, and this is the theme of this fight, look better for Akhmedov. He doesn't score too well. When he loses, he scores decently, but his opponents don't score well against him, and that's also an important factor to acknowledge. Brad Tavares does not score well. I mean, even worse than Omari, who doesn't score well. I mean, he's really towards even 46th out of 49th. When he wins, that's towards the low end of the division. When guys win, they don't score against him, but when they lose, they score decently against him. His projections are very low. I'm not playing Tavares, probably not much. My exposure is going to be very low on him going into this fight, even on DraftKings. Even if he does win, he's not going to score any points unless he gets a freak knockout or something like that. Just because I'm saying all this. Omari, on the other hand, same thing. I'm not too interested. He's not. I guess we'll get into the finishes. But his numbers still much better than Tavares' numbers DraftKings wise. He can at least get you some value. The highest value Tavares can offer you is 11.25, which is good, but 96 points is not what you're looking for at all. If we get into the data, DraftKings points 2.18 versus 2.35 against. Compared to 2.91 for Omari versus 2.18 for all his opponents. And hey, that's exactly what Brad is. So check that out. Positive to negative differential there. We got 86 points when he wins, 71 points when Tavares wins. Neither one of those I really want any part of. Striking versus grappling. So Brad does like to mix in the grappling, and the striking, or his defense, is almost identical to that. And Omari likes to grapple even more at 44% of his total DraftKings points coming by way of grappling. Now we'll get into some finishes here. Neither one likely to finish this fight, but both are likely to get finished. So only 15%. So what's that? Two of the 13 wins Brad Tavares has are finishes, and 3 of the 9 wins that Omari has have been finishes. Most of these wins and losses are by way of decision. Omari has been knocked out twice and subbed once, while Tavares has been knocked out 3 times. Never subbed and never been subbed. So we can see definitely both of their chins are suspect at some point. Let's kind of clean this up a little bit, if I can. Yes, I know. All right. Sometimes that gets jumbled up there. So take a look at these graphs if you'd like. Fight finishes, just a bunch of different ways we can visualize those numbers we just talked about. Last 5. Now we can actually have stuff here. This is the first time. So let's see. Striking, Brad Tavares is pretty much a little bit better than Omari last 5. A little bit better accuracy, better strikes landed per minute. Way more strikes landed against per minute, however. He does have a negative striking differential, where Omari, over his past 5, has a positive 3/4 of a strike differential. Control time. Let's see. It's down 8.46% compared to his opponent, whereas Omari has 4% over his opponent. Yeah, and so this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Brad Tavares pretty much consistent with the AWI at -1.52, so it's a little worse. His power has gone up, though. He has put some more guys down with a .94 power index, but his chin actually has gotten better. Barely, still there, but it has gotten a little bit better. Omari, his ass whooping index is up by about 0.5 point. Power is down to 0, so he hasn't knocked anybody out, or down, I should say, in his last 5 fights. But he also hasn't been knocked down. So that is trending in the right direction. This is just trends, these numbers here, how the last 5 fights compare to, say, their career of 19 fights. So, for instance, Brad Tavares' significant striking accuracy is down 1.37% in the past 5 fights compared to his entire career as a whole. So, obviously, when these numbers are green, they are getting better. They're trending better later, which is a good thing to see. It means guys are getting better in those aspects. Not a lot going on. I mean, they're both getting better occasionally in some aspects, but both have also dropped significantly as well. Strength of schedule. This is the one part that I have to lean towards Brad Tavares, which kind of throws all the numbers off, because if Omari's fighting guys that aren't great, and that's kind of the deal, they're about average, then his numbers are going to seem inflated compared to Tavares, who's fought and lost to the best of the best, Israel Adesanya. Edmund Shabazian isn't the best of the best, but for a while there was one of the better strikers in the division. Could still be. So his numbers might look smaller because of who he's fighting. Either way, strength of schedule is better. Let's see. Last 3, even in his win, Brad Tavares' AWI was negative. We have had one of those as well for Omari Akhmedov. So take a look here. Oops, then I scroll away. Take a look there, see what you want to see on those. Here's a graph for the last 5. I mean, look at Omari here. This is what I'm talking about. This is a perfect example of why I have these graphs here. Because at a glance, you can tell blue line is our guy, orange is the opponent. I mean, orange trending up, orange trending up, orange trending up, orange trending up. Blue down, blue down, blue down, and blue down. So this guy is not getting better, doing better than his opponents at all in the past 5 fights. The green is our average. Yellow is the opponent's average. The yellow is above the green in every single category. Whereas you jump over here to Omari, and I understand that could be because of Israel, because of Edmund, but he's also got 3 other fighters in there too. Whereas Omari, look at this. Blue is above orange, trending up, trending up, trending up, trending up in every single graph for the most part. Orange, we have trending down and trending up, but not as high as the blue. So you're giving up more points, but you're also getting better offensively, and that's what we want with DraftKings. So that's why I have these graphs here. At about a 5-second glance, you can tell what you're looking at and why Omari is better. I'm all blurry again. Omari better than Tavares on these stats in the past 5 fights. What is the deal here? Here we go. That's annoying. I'll try to check it more often. Striking data. As you can see, we're starting to get lots of green on one side, lots of red on the other. Tavares does have a better accuracy, but it's not good. 45 to 49, 47 to 49. I mean, look at these numbers. These are in the 40s and 30s. Not good from either side. Significant striking defense is actually decent at 56.5 and 57.5. Differential, we're both positive differentials here. 0.31 for Brad, and that's a 30. Good for 30th in the division, and a .36 for Omari, 28th in the division. Knockdown data, it's pretty much identical as far as the knockdowns. I know it's 3-2, but per 15, it's darn near identical, 0.18 and 0.18. Again, not great, not a great number there. But the big one is knockdowns against, 6-2. So we've got 0.18 differential for Omari, or excuse me, a 0.18 knockdown against rate per 15, and it's double that for Tavares. Takedowns, not even close. Again, this is really where Omari seemingly comes to life here. We've got 27% accuracy for Brad Tavares, almost 50% for Omari. Now, Brad does have surprisingly good takedown defense, almost 80%. I was surprised to learn that. Omari has a decent 66%. Let me see the numbers there. Cool. That's just what I wanted to happen. Well, you know, it's Monday at 10:10 in the morning in the U.S. because that's apparently when they want to test the sirens. So, we're just going to scroll through this. I'm going to try not to talk, and we can look. And you can hear the wonderful siren. I'm not editing this, so all this is in. This is great for a first video, by the way. First video on the channel. Featuring tornado siren, let's get it. Control time, not good for either one. Better for Omari. Nothing jumps out at me here. Nothing jumps out. So we'll just look. Excuse me. You might be wondering, how long does this go on? I mean, just when you think it's done, it goes a bit longer than that. Next fight, Jennifer Maia, Jessica I. I'm sorry if I'm yelling, but I honestly have no idea how I sound with the air raid siren going on over my head. Probably happens for about 3 minutes, so we should be almost done. Anyways, in order to keep this as short as possible, Jennifer Maia, Jessica I. Not a fight I'm too excited for. Women's flyweight division, 125, 5'4" versus 5'6". The reach is respectively similar. And so is the age, with Jessica I being a little over 2 years older than Jennifer Maia. Neither one of them finished. I mean, the average fight time is almost 15. Their ass whooping index is almost equally as bad. No power, and Jessica I has a worse chin. The average line here, Jennifer Maia, 196 to 161. Vegas thinks that she wins by decision over Jessica I. Let's take a look. 8,800 to 7,400. Nobody's really scoring offensively well at all, DraftKings wise. I mean, these projections are pretty bad. I'm probably staying away from both of these fighters. Let's see here. Almost identical DraftKings points per minute. Oh, thank goodness. Whew. I am so sorry about that. Like I said, I'm not planning on editing this. I'm just putting it out there. So if you couldn't hear a word I've been saying for the past 3 minutes, just let the numbers do the talking for me, and you can scroll back up and pause it wherever you need to. So again, I apologize for that. I'll try to remember not to schedule a video recording session Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Anyways, let's keep it moving. Striking raw DraftKings differential, negative 1.21 to negative 0.85. So they both get outscored. Neither one of them scores very well. 30th out of 34th in the division. Jennifer Maia, 28th out of 34th out of 34. Striking and grappling offensively, pretty much the same. Maia does favor grappling a little bit more, but she also gets scored on that way a little bit more as well. Finishes, not really anything to see here. Jessica Ai's got a knockout win, and Jennifer Maia has a submission win. Other than that, it's pretty much mostly decisions there. So that might tell you all you need to know about where you're going betting or DraftKings wise. Not a violence bet for sure. And probably a decision for DraftKings. So last 5. This will matter since both of them have more fights than that. 3.45 to 4.35 significant strikes per minute. Jennifer Maia pretty much dominates the striking and the grappling aspect of the past 5 fights. Jessica Ai, not a takedown artist. Let's see, she's at 12.5% accuracy and 52% defense. Not terrible, but neither as good as Jennifer Maia. Control time, Jessica Ai doesn't control very much and gets controlled about 20%, and that's right where Jennifer Maia's offensive control time is. Let's see. So we're negative on all of our numbers here, but again, Jessica Ai is more negative. Let's see here. Her AWI has gotten far lower in the past 5 fights compared to her career, whereas Maia has actually raised hers a little bit. Here's your graphs. Oh, Maia has improved everywhere except for 2 categories: significant striking accuracy, which is pretty much negligible there, and takedown accuracy, which is the exact same. So good on ya. Whereas Jessica Ai, not trending in the right direction, negative everywhere, red everywhere. No bueno. Strength of schedule. Maia's not looking great. Jessica Ai, her schedule is looking better, mostly probably because of Shevchenko. They've both fought Shevchenko. They've both fought Calderwood, and they've both fought Chukagian. So the only difference is Alexis Davis to Araujo, excuse me, and then Calvillo to Modafari. Other than that, I mean, we're not looking very good there. Maia's lost to better people than Ai's lost to, and Ai has beaten better fighters than Maia's beaten. That's about it. That's all you can say there. Let's take a look. Both of the graphs look bad. I don't want anything to do with any of them. Let's kind of scroll through this quick. Striking data, you can kind of take a look and pause it if you'd like. Not anything is jumping out to me. They're both very low in the division. Striking, knockdown numbers aren't doing anything for me, except Ai has 2 knockdowns against. Takedowns, let's see. Not much from Maia, but 50%. And she's got an okay takedown defense at 56.5. Not as good as Jessica Ai, but the 40% is worse. So yeah, nobody's doing much in any of these categories, really, as far as this goes. Jessica Ai has attempted 7 submissions, hasn't landed any of them, or finished any of them. Maia has attempted 1 and has finished that one. In Ai's defense, she has never been submitted in 8 attempts. Let's see the striking numbers. I don't see anything jumping out at me. Leg striking accuracy, maybe 93%. But then again, she's not throwing many leg strikes. So nothing's really jumping out at me here. Take a look at the rest of these graphs. I'm still in focus. All right. Let me go back up. Next fight. Wow, it's only I gotta get a move on with this. Maybe I'll talk less and just scroll more. Okay. Dracus Duplessis, I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly, or against Trevin Giles. Middleweight fight, both fighters pretty relatively equal height. The reach is pretty much the same. The age is pretty much the same. Giles is a year and a half older. Duplessis only has one fight. That's the problem with this stat model. I don't look at anything outside the UFC, like I said. So I only have one fight's worth of information on this guy. I have watched a couple of his other fights, but I don't have any kind of information stored in here. So this 51 AWI, that's because he knocked a guy out in 3.5 minutes in his one and only fight. So we're pretty much going to be looking at Giles here, who does have decent numbers also. 4.83 AWI, not terrible. 1 power index is pretty good. Chin index, not so good at 0.6. Vegas thinks that Duplessis should win inside the distance, but it is close. Let's see. It's getting a little closer. It's moving towards Giles a little bit. Salaries are pretty much identical. There's your projections right there. DraftKings data. Duplessis is going to have a high number because, like I said, he has one fight and it's very short. But that said, his raw points, you can't deny that. Over 6 a minute, which is good, and his opponent less than 2. So that's a fantastic differential there. We also have a positive differential for Giles, but it is less, 2.8 to 2.04. So definitely not bad. Not bad at all. 85 points in a win is not great. However, there is your striking or scoring percentages. This is pretty much negligible just because it was all on the feet for all 3 minutes of it, I should say. Finishing data, 100%. And when Giles wins, 60% of his wins, so 3 of them have been knockouts. So, and 100%, when he loses, 100% have been losses as well. So, obviously, this is kind of when you're looking towards a violence bet when these finish numbers are all very high like that. So that's kind of, I mean, without looking at anything else, that's where I would be looking. Let's see. Fight history. Not much for Duplessis. Let's check out Giles. He has not improved much of his game here over his last 5. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Compared to 7 over his career. Let's see. 2.6 strikes landed per minute compared to 2.1. Not terrible, but not great for the offensive side of things. Takedowns landed 0.67 at 60%. I'd say that's probably about average. Takedown defense, definitely very good. 83% there. So anything over 70 is what I'm looking for to be pretty decent. Control time, he's negative on that as well. Let's see here. So yeah, not much to brag about for Trevin Giles over the past couple of fights. Let's take a look, though. Strength of schedule. Better for Duplessis, except the guys he's beat aren't quite as good as the guys Giles has beat. But everywhere else, Duplessis has beat some guys with some pretty good records. As you can see, his one fight, he absolutely dominated. Whereas Giles, I mean, against Roman Dolidze, who, what are you going to do against Roman Dolidze? That guy just sucks all the points right out of any kind of, he sucks all the value out of any kind of bet that you would want to put on his opponent. So he did have an almost -5 AWI in a win. So good on you, judges. 5 strike differential. They both landed a takedown, and Dolidze had significantly more control time. So I'd have to rewatch that fight, but it looks like, I mean, according to the numbers, Dolidze won that. But obviously, I'd have to rewatch it. It goes round by round, and my numbers don't go round by round. He did knock out. Giles did knock out Lewis. Let's see. 3rd round knockout. Pretty good win there. He did get a split decision over James Krause. Very close fight there. Loss against Gerald Meerschaert, loss against Zach Cummings. Both of them he got subbed in, so that's something to look at. I don't know about Duplessis. I think he's more of a straight. I shouldn't even say because I don't know much about his history. There's your graphs. Boom, boom, boom. Trevin Giles, decent striking graph. Not too decent anything else graph. Striking data. I mean, obviously this is going to be inflated because of the low fight numbers. So it's a bit more even than the fights we have been looking at. I do expect Duplessis to land more than Giles, with a better differential. So I do expect those things to stay accurate. Now he has been subbed, but how many times has he been knocked down, Giles? I don't remember. That's why we have this. He's been knocked down a couple times, but never out. Never been TKO'd. Zach Cummins knocked him down last, and that was 5 years ago? 2 years ago, okay. Alright, so takedown data, let's see. Alright, so let's just kind of go over this. Striking, I'm going to give probably to Duplessis just because I don't have any other history, but his numbers look good. Knockdowns, I mean, both of them. Takedown accuracy, doesn't look like Duplessis is playing that at all, whereas Giles, looking good. 80% accuracy, almost 80% defense. So we're going to go Giles looking good there. Control time, same deal. Duplessis has nothing to offer there. Submission, same deal. What jumps out at us at striking? Actually quite a bit for not Duplessis here. For Giles, 5th in head strike accuracy, 3rd in head strike defense. So we're looking good there. Yeah. 5th in head strikes landed overall. Or percentages of strikes. Or head strikes, I should say. That's one thing I didn't mention. I did watch Duplessis fight earlier. He throws a ton of leg kicks. Ton. He threw 15 leg kicks compared to 8, or landed 15 compared to 8. He threw 25 in his fight against, no, I can't remember, Marcus Perez. So expect leg kicks. Let's see how Giles does against leg kicks. Not great. He absorbs quite a few of them. And yeah, he's low in the division for leg kicks absorbed. So that could be an interesting take there. So I'm not really making any picks. I should have said that at the top. I'm not making any picks in this episode. I'll probably do an episode later in the week where I will make picks. I'll probably do one where we deep dive the co-main event and then the main event as well, just so I can kind of get into it a little bit more. I feel like I'm rushing through everything, but I know this video is getting super long. We're at 58 minutes, so we're not quite halfway through. I need to speed it up. Alright, next fight. Ryan Hall versus Ilia Topuria. This should be an interesting fight. Two guys that are undefeated in the UFC. Ryan Hall is 8-1 professionally, and Topuria has not lost professionally. Topuria is 3 inches shorter, and 1 inch shorter arms as well. He's also 11 and change, almost 12 years younger than Ryan Hall. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Ryan Hall, great AWI number. Ilia Topuria has the number 1 in the division, however. Power index is great. Again, Topuria's is better, and chin index is the same. What does Vegas say? Vegas says this fight gets finished, and it gets finished by Topuria. I'm probably leaning that way. Of course, I say that right after I say I'm not making any picks. Let's take a look at projections. Current salary, $7,100 for Hall, $91 for Topuria. I think that's far more accurate than the other 9,000 fighters we've seen on here, the guys with no wins whatsoever. So I'll probably be putting a good chunk of my exposure on Topuria. Scores well in DraftKings. His projections look good. Let's move it down to DraftKings data. Scores almost 4 points a minute. Great. Fantastic. With a 1.83 differential, whereas Ryan Hall scores 2.51, but with a 1.59 differential, meaning his opponents only score 0.91 DraftKings points per minute. which is obviously first in the division. That's a very low number. So I'm wondering what Ilia Topuria is going to be able to do against Ryan Hall. Basically, everyone just stands with him because they don't want to go to the ground with Hall. I think Topuria might probably follow that game plan, but he does have a little ground game, and his hands are much better than Ryan Hall, his previous opponents. So let's go down to our graphs. Let's see. Look at this. Topuria, 56% of his points come from grappling, whereas Ryan Hall, 47% of his points against have come from grappling. So keep that in mind. Fight finishing data. Topuria's finished one of his fights. It was a knockout. Hall finished one of his fights. It was a submission. Otherwise, Hall's usually going to decision. So Topuria, we don't have enough history to really know what he's going to do. I am leaning towards not decision, though, on this one. Let's take a look at the last 5, which we don't have to because neither one of them have 5 fights. Strength of schedule. Ryan Hall has fought absolutely nobody worth a damn in their past 5 fights anyway. I mean, these are abysmal numbers. He's barely over 60 on his strength of schedule. He's fought Darren Elkins, BJ Penn in 2018, not in like 2012. Gray Maynard in 2016, not in like 2012. And Artem Lobov in 2015, not in any other year where Artem Lobov, because, I mean, he is, all right, I take it back. He's the GOAT. He did beat the GOAT 2015. So yeah, other than that, I mean, he's got no defeats in his past 5. He's not fighting anybody that's worth anything, and he's not really beating them that badly either. He did sub BJ Penn, but come on. Ilia Topuria, decent strength of schedule, and he's beating guys up better than Ryan Hall is. Let's go down. I like my graphs here. I like my graphs here. Pretty good for the most part. Let's see. Striking data. So yeah, Hall does not land that much, and he's not that accurate. But his defense is ridiculous. 75% striking defense. Less than 1 significant strike landed per minute. That's crazy. I mean, guys that fight him don't even throw 4 punches in a minute. I'm going to have to cough here. Excuse me. So, and that said, Topuria, all this red over here, his defense isn't that bad either. He's second in striking defense at 68.6%. Guys only land 1.87 against him. So that's pretty good. Knockdown data, I mean, pretty even. 1 extra one for Ryan Hall. He does have 2 knockdowns. Takedown numbers. No takedown numbers hardly at all for Ryan Hall, except he's 16% accuracy, whereas Topuria 56% accuracy and 100% takedown defense. I know it's only 0 for 2, but that's still a hundo. Control time, it all goes to Topuria. He's 4th in the division with his control time at 45%. 28% differential. Ryan Hall gets controlled 8.2% more than he does the controlling. Submissions, Ryan Hall 1 for 3, 0 for 5 for Topuria. And that's about all there is to say about that. Look at Ryan Hall's excellent defense. I mean, this is one of the best looking advanced significant striking data charts that I have looked at. He's first in a lot of categories. Usually you're first in a couple, but then the rest is bad to average. He's first in a lot of these guys. I mean, looking really good on the feet, whereas Topuria, again, he's got a couple firsts in there, top 5s in there. So he's no slouch, but just compared to Ryan Hall in certain aspects, he's going to look like it's being dominated. But he is not. Body strikes. The highest percentage of strikes landed to the body, or body strikes being the highest percentage of the strikes thrown in the division at 54.5%. Someday I'll figure out how to say that. That's what jumps out at me there. Ryan Hall, body, significant strikes to the body absorbed, not good, towards the end. So that could be a huge, huge part. Watch out for those body kicks. Here's the graphs for you. let's move this right along. All right. Let me do my little typing here. Michel Pereira against Nico Price, I believe. Yeah, okay. So, welterweight fight. Michel Pereira 6'1", Nico Price 6 foot. Nico Price does have the longer reach by 3 inches, and Michael Pereira is 4 years younger than Price. AWI is 8.68, pretty good compared to 3. Power index 0.9, which is good for 21st in the division, not bad, but not as good as Nico Price. But Nico Price's chin is also suspect. All right. Vegas odds. Vegas picks Pereira to win inside the distance. Let's see here. Fight projection salary 8,900 to 7,300. Pereira does not score well. When he wins, Nico Price scores pretty well all around. Projections, I just let you guys kind of look at that. Composite if you want to take them down. DraftKings data. Let's see. 2.72 raw DraftKings points per minute with a 1 differential compared to 3.71 per minute, so almost a full differential. Better. Good score when he wins. 104 DraftKings points when Nico Price wins. That's good for 10th in the division. Whereas when Michel Pereira wins, 83, good for 47th in the division. So not great there. Striker to grappler. Self-explanatory. Let's see here. Fight finishing data. All right, so this is interesting. Nico Price has 12 fights in the UFC. 2 are no contest. For sure, 1 is for weed against Cerrone. I don't remember the other one. All 100% of his fights have come finish, whether he's doing the finishing or getting finished. 2 of the 3 Michael Pereira wins have been finishes as well. Never had a finish against him. So that could be something we're looking into, is the violence bet on this fight. And if you're wondering how a pie chart could have 4 slices at 20%, that's just how the calculation is, because in this specific case, Michael Pereira does have a loss, but it is by disqualification, so that's not charted here. So that should explain that. All right, last 5. It's a big-time ouchie for Nico Price, man. Although his significant strikes per minute, astronomically high at 8. I don't know how anyone keeps up that kind of pace. Whereas Michel Pereira's was 3.74, which is pretty good, but nothing compared to 8. The only other difference, control time is pretty much the same. Michel Pereira is better or has a positive differential except for control time, but beats out Nico everywhere except for reverses. 868, 2.72, so that's going down, and that is also going down, which is good, but not the other 2. Nothing for Michel Pereira. Nico Price there. He's improving his significant striking accuracy, his significant strikes per minute. I'd say so. And his DraftKings points. Let's see, strength of schedule. Pretty close all the way around. Nothing too outstanding from either one. However, strength of victory is a big difference. Better for Pereira, and strength of defeat is much better for Nico Price. Now, I want to see these strike differentials, or strikes. Nico Price, 10 strikes per minute, 9.5 strikes per minute, 6 1/3 strikes per minute. I mean, another over 6 2/3 strikes per minute. This guy's throwing crazy numbers, crazy volume. He's either doing well, scoring well, or he's getting scored on. There's really no in between with Mr. Nico Price. So take a look at those numbers there. Let's see, Michel Pereira, when he wins, he does pretty good. Chaos Williams was a close fight, but I think he's settling down a little bit. Pereira, he's not doing cartwheels and tornado kicks and somersaults and all that stuff in the octagon. It doesn't seem like anymore, which is a good thing if he wants to win. I mean, our graphs here, there's nothing, nobody's going after Pereira on the ground. The control time, that could be standing like clinch, but I mean, that's pretty even. So we're looking pretty good there. I'd say Pereira has the advantage everywhere. Striking data. Nico Price throws a ton. Where is it? He throws almost 13 strikes a minute. Significant strikes a minute. Almost 13. But he only lands 5 1/3. So his accuracy is pretty low at 41%. His defense is also very low at less than 50%. And somehow his striking differential or the significant strikes that he lands per minute, he has a negative differential. It means he's getting outstruck and landing all those, or throwing all those shots. Whereas Pereira he's number 5. Accuracy, 54.2. Defense is decent, 58. And his strike differential is almost 1 strike better per minute than Nico Price. Now, Nico does have a much more prolific, shall we say, knockdown resume. Let's take a look here at the last 5. So he's knocked down 3 people in his last 5. Pereira's knocked down 2. So he's catching up. Takedown defense, or takedown numbers. This is where I wanted to look. Nico, not good, 22% offense, over 70% defense. So actually that is pretty good. But not as good as Pereira. 0 for 12. His opponents have not been able to take him down, and he's got a 70% accuracy. Takedown accuracy on top of that. Control time, surprisingly, it is Nico Price who has the better control time. Not by too much, but it is better. Submissions. Pereira's never been submitted, and he has submitted a couple people. Nico has submitted a couple as well, but has been submitted once. Any of the striking information, nothing jumps out except for how low these numbers are for Nico. As somebody that throws and lands so much, his accuracy numbers, not good. Not good. Michel throws the most, or his body strikes that he lands, first in the division as far as frequency. And Nico Price, actually pretty good when it comes to absorbing body shots. So we will see there. And I'm blurry again. Can't wait till I get my capture cord. I'll be doing this on my A7 III. Anyways, let me scroll that up so you can see it. Alright, and we will move on to the next fight. We're at an hour 12. I'm going to try and smash through these last 6. Carlos Condit against Max Griffin. Eesh. Alright, 5'11" versus 6'2" at welterweight. Basically the same reach, basically the same age, I guess. Max Griffin is a year and a half younger. But we're going to see here these numbers are grossly different between the two. Carlos Condit, negative ass whoop index. Power index isn't terrible, but not great. Chin index is almost worse than the power index. Griffin is better everywhere in those categories, I should say. Vegas thinks the fight goes to decision and that Max Griffin will be the winner. That's probably smart money. 7,500 to 8,700 for the salary. There's the projections there. DraftKings data looks like Max Griffin is doing well against Condit, except for DraftKings points per win, which both of them are actually doing pretty well. Condit at over 100 with 9 fights. That's a good number. You want to see that. And Max Griffin with 94, so that's not terrible either. Striking to grappling, Max gets a few more points from grappling than Carlos does. Carlos can be grappled. Look at that. 55% of the points Carlos has scored on him have come from grappling. So that might be something Max Griffin's looking to exploit here. That's definitely something I would look for. Fight finishing data. Look at this here. Almost half of his over half his wins have been finished. Almost half of his losses have been finishes. over half, 60% of Max's wins have been finishes. So that said, I don't know. It's kind of spread out actually. A lot of differential disbursement, even disbursement. I'd have to look at this one a little bit longer. Here's all the finishes here. If you want to take a look at the chart, pretty similar. All right, last 5 fight history. Let's see, 38% accuracy to 46%, big disparagement. 3 strikes a minute to almost 4 strikes a minute. 2.75 landed against, 4 landed against. So Max gets hit. Takedowns, 57% accuracy to 60, so pretty much the same. Takedowns landed per 15, 3. That's much better than 0.76. So saw that pie chart from earlier. Carlos is probably going to have to deal with some takedowns here. Control time, fantastic, 23%. He gets controlled 32% of the time, so Griffin should be able to take him down and control him. Get some strikes in, possibly a finish, but we'll see. If he doesn't, he could just grind him the entire 15 minutes, and that will still score well. Let's see, a little bit of improvement from Carlos in certain areas, but more from Max, I'd say. Strength of schedule. Max Griffin has a more difficult strength of schedule, not by much, but it is there. Strength. The guys he beat are significantly better than the guys Carlos Condit beat, but the guys that beat Condit are a little bit better than the guys that beat Max. So, if you want to take a look at that, go ahead and pause it. We're going to keep it moving. Looking decent on the grass. I mean, Carlos Condit is doing less than in his opponents in most of the fights, except for striking. Everywhere else, he is not doing as well. Max Griffin is a little bit better everywhere, except for striking. That is pretty even. We'll see if he can't fix that in the next couple of fights here. And actually, there's not much to fix. His striking accuracy is fantastic at almost 49%. His striking defense is pretty good, 56%. He lands an average amount for the division, a little over 4. He's got a positive striking differential. All that you can say also about Carlos Condit, except Max's numbers are better, except the striking differential. Carlos does outland his opponents at a decent clip of almost 1.3. Knockdown data, I mean, that's career. Pretty much the same. Max Griffin's done it in less fights, though, so it is definitely looking better numbers-wise. And Carlos has been knocked down 4 times, while Max only once. So keep that in mind. Takedown data, there's no comparison here. It's all Max Griffin in every way. It's not particularly close. Same with control time. He almost has as much control time as Carlos Condit in just over half the fights. Everywhere else he's better, and it's not close. Submission data, I'm not too concerned about that. My main thing is watch for the takedown and control time. I really think if this does go the decision or go the distance, Max Griffin is just going to take down Condit and just hold him there. I mean, I know he is the height differential does scare me a little bit. It is harder to take down guys taller than you, but I think Griffin will be able to do that against Condit. A lot of guys have. Let's see, nothing really standing out to me as far as striking, which is trouble for Carlos Condit. And here are your graphs. All right. Next fight. Oh, this one will go quick because we're only looking at one person because we don't even know anything about the other person. Sean O'Malley, Chris Moutinho. I mean, what is there to say? Sean O'Malley's opponent, who I can't remember off the top of my head for some reason, dropped out of the fight, injury or something, and everybody says, who's Sean O'Malley going to get? Who's Sean O'Malley going to get? Oh, of course, it's fan favorite and household name, Chris Moutinho. I don't know anything about him. We're not even going to look at the right side of the screen. We'll just look at Sean O'Malley's numbers. 6 fights in the UFC. He is 5'11". He will have a 4-inch height advantage on this guy. The UFC doesn't even know Moutinho's reach, so I don't either, and O'Malley is younger. Okay. Average fight time, less than 9 minutes. A really good ass-whooping index, decent power index, and a great chin index. Best you could have, actually. Vegas says this fight does not go to decision, and then O'Malley is going to absolutely smash him. 9,500 to 6,700. I think it's 6,700. I don't think DraftKings... Oh, it's Louis Smolka. That's who he's supposed to fight. I don't think DraftKings has changed this from the Smolka number, so I don't think they will, but that might change. Either way, you get the gist. Sean O'Malley's the most expensive fighter on the card. DraftKings data, 3.59 points compared to 2. Looking good. Points per win, 93. That is about average. Does not score well when he loses. But who does? 60% of his wins have been by finish. 100% of his losses have been by finish. All one of them. So 3 knockout wins, 2 decision wins. So that's why we are thinking an end on this one. Last 5 fights, we can just kind of glaze over this. I'll let you guys pause it and take a look at it. Nothing special. He has actually gotten... he's improved his striking accuracy and his how often he gets hit. Other than that, he has not really improved too much. Strength of schedule. Sean O'Malley's strength of schedule will come to no surprise if I tell you it's not good. Not good. And it's still better than whoever the hell Chris Moutinho has been fighting. I mean, he's been beating cans. 56? 56? Cans, bro. Cans. We've got no history here. We've got a Cheeto Vera loss that Sean O'Malley will tell you is a win. Other than that, he's smashing people. Supanta, he had his leg, something weird happened in the leg. He spent the whole time laying on the ground. Otherwise, when he wins, he generally performs very well. Our graphs looking good. There is no ground game to speak of with Sean O'Malley, at least up until this point. It's all striking. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be all greens to all reds. That's what we're going to be. But his accuracy is very good, 58%. 4th in the division. 3rd for significant strikes landed per minute, surprisingly. 6th in significant striking defense. I mean, look at... these are great striking numbers. These are great striking numbers. He only has 6 fights, I know, so it's not a huge sample size. But anything more than 5 in the UFC is pretty decent sample size. So those numbers are looking darn good. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Knockdowns. He's got 3 knockdowns. Okay. 0.86 knockdown per 15 minutes. That's really good. Takedowns, decent. 50%. 54% defense. Not great. Negative differential. Control time, very negative. Submissions, 0%. Look at these striking numbers. Look at these accuracy numbers and defense numbers. Every single one is top 10 almost, except for this. That's 11, and ground striking defense 22. Amazing. I mean, I don't see numbers this high for one guy ever. I mean, it's rare. I won't say ever. So I am liking that a lot. And he's very evenly dispersed. He's got a good, his numbers are spread out all across the body. So, very good striker. Obviously, I don't have to tell anyone that Sean O'Malley is a good striker. Just looking for filler while I scroll up, man. Next fight. Irene Aldana. We're cooking now. We've got 3 fights left after this. We're cooking. Irene Aldana taking on Yana Kunitskaya. Out of focus again. There we go. Let me get a quick drink of water. The old throat's going. A little dry. Alright guys, bear with me. Irene Aldana, Yana Kunitskaya. 5'9" for Irene. I don't that's probably not how you say her name. 5'6" for Yana. She's also a year and a half younger. 12-6 for Aldana professionally. 5-4 in the UFC. 14-5 for Kunitskaya professionally. 4-2 in the UFC. The current number 4 versus number 5 ranked women's bantamweight. All right, let's get it. Aldana, negative ass whoop index. Kunitskaya has an 8. Good for 5th in the division. Very, very good. Power index is actually better than Kunitskaya, which is interesting. And the chin is actually better as well. Vegas thinks that the fight goes to a decision and that Aldana is going to win. Okay, well, let's look at these numbers here. might have an opportunity for some value. Fight projections, 80 or salary rather, 8,300 to 7,900. It's not too much different, but DraftKings definitely is with Vegas on this one as far as who they think is going to win. Yana scores much better than Aldana does, defensively and otherwise. Third highest decision projection on the whole card, so that's saying something. She also has very high finish projections, over 100 for each one. Look at that! Look at all that value, over 13 value for all three round projections. Striking, second in the division, 4.54 DraftKings points per minute. She's got a 2.2 raw DraftKings points per minute differential, good for second, whereas Aldana is negative there. Yana scores over 100 points in her wins. Very good. That's what we're looking for. Let's scroll it down. Striker versus grappler, it seems like. It would seem that way, but Yana does have some really good striking numbers as well. 40% finish rate for Aldana in her wins, whereas Yana has never finished a fight. She has been knocked out twice, though, whereas Aldana has never been finished. So we're going to have to look at that. Let's see here. Last five, which we can absolutely look at because we do have the history. Not much improvement for Aldana. Not much at all. Whereas Yana has been steady improving. 57% accuracy compared to 34%. So she throws lots of wild stuff that does not land. But her defense is better than Yana's. Let's see. Takedowns. Defense. Oh, Aldana has the better defense. Has no takedown offense, though. 0. 63% for Yana Kunitskaya. She lands 1.5 per 15. I don't have to go into all the numbers. I mean, differentials speak volumes there. The charts speak volumes there. Strength of schedule, not great for either one. Yana Kunitskaya's strength of defeat is much better than Aldana, but other than that, pretty negligible. Looking at our graphs, let's see. Yana has a positive graph everywhere, pretty much, except she is trending down, but she's still above her opponent, so take that how you will. Striking data, Yana, best accuracy in the division, 57%. 7th highest land rate. Differential is positive compared to Aldana's. I mean, so her striking numbers are better, except the volume. Aldana does throw more volume, and she does have a little bit more power. That said, the takedown and control time data way outweigh the difference in the striking, in my opinion. Let's take a look at the striking numbers, advanced. Anything stand out? Clinch accuracy, not bad. So she does well in the clinch. But Aldana has a great clinch defense. Alright, not much to think about in that one. Let's go to everyone's favorite heavyweight, Greg Hardy, the Prince of War. Focus. Alright, 3 left, guys. We're at an hour and a half, just under an hour and a half. We are killing it. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you've stuck around this long, I mean, you're watching a guy that doesn't know what he's doing talk about something that he does enjoy talking about. So really, I thank you for that. Again, next week or later in this week, we'll probably do a deep dive on the co-main event, Wonderboy versus Burns, and the main event, Poirier versus Conor McGregor. So we'll do deep dives on that. I'll kind of get into more of who I'm picking as well, maybe on Thursday or Friday. But I think this first episode of the week, every week, is just going to kind of be a rundown. I want to show you guys all the information, get you time to do your film work, to supplement this with the film work, I should say, and then figure out, you know, who you're going to be picking, who you're going to be wanting to put in your lineup, what your exposures are going to be. So that's what I think we're going to do. The beginning of the week show is just going to be getting to you this information as quickly as possible. So I'll kind of just hit on some points like I've been doing, and that's kind of the format we'll follow until I'm told otherwise. If you guys think I could do something different, please let me know in the comments. I'll read obviously it won't take me long to read 0 comments, but go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know if this is helpful for you. I spend a lot of time doing this. I use it for my own personal betting and DraftKings contests and bets, but if I can, anything to help us beat the bookies. That's what it is, right? So let's get it. I want to put this out there for you guys. Anyways, off on a tangent. Our third to last fight, Greg Hardy versus Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa. Obviously both heavyweights. Greg Hardy has a 3-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. He's also 4.5 years older than Tai Tuivasa. 7-3, 1 no contest, 4-3 in the UFC. Tuivasa is 12-3 professionally, 5-3 in the UFC. Neither one of these guys is ranked. We're going to probably see power numbers here and not much in the way of takedowns. So 6.69 ass whoop index to 3.17. The power, not that much there for Greg Hardy, 0.3. He does have some. But Tai Tuivasa, undeniable. 1.56 power index. Chin index for Greg, never been knocked down. Undeniable also for Tai Tuivasa. 1 chin index, so he has been knocked down and he can be knocked down. Who does Vegas pick? Vegas picks Tai Tuivasa inside the distance, looks like. Pretty close line, though, but they're still leaning towards Bam Bam. Salary, $7,800 for Greg Hardy, $8,400 for Tai Tuivasa. Excuse me, he does score decently, Tai, when he wins. Greg Hardy does not score very well in any of his fights. So we'll kind of get into that here. Actually, that's not terrible. It's just the heavyweights usually score a little bit more if they're getting knocked out. Or if they're getting knockouts, rather. Tai Tuivasa, the 11th highest DraftKings points per win. This is what I mean. 106.15. That would probably be leading the division and a couple other divisions. Greg Hardy, just under 100 at 98.15. And that's average in this division. So he's got a 0.79 raw DraftKings points per minute differential, and Tuivasa has a negative differential. Just barely, but it is negative. This is pretty much striker versus striker. You're in the 90% for striking range. That's pretty much what you do. Both guys can be grappled with, but Tai Tuivasa definitely a little bit easier to grapple with than Greg Hardy, it seems like. Finishes. Lots of finishes from these guys. 75% of the wins Greg Hardy has are finishes. 80% of the wins from Tuivasa are finishes. They've both been finished. They get finishes. One of them's going to get finished in this fight. I'd be surprised if it does go the distance, but not 100% surprised, but probably 10%. 90% surprised if it goes to decision. So we can just look at that there, graphs for you if you so desire. We'll scroll down to the last 5. Greg Hardy looks to be better almost everywhere in the last 5. His accuracy just barely less than Tuivasa. Knockdowns, Tuivasa does have 1 more knockdown, but he's also been knocked down twice. Excuse me. People can score on Tuivasa. People don't usually score on Greg Hardy. They're too afraid to get inside of him. Until recently, Ty Burrow really kind of showed that you could do that by knocking him out in that second round. The AEW ass whooping index, great for Greg Hardy. Opposite of great for Bam Bam. He completely flipped the script on the career power index. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. The career AWI at 3.7. He's now almost 9 points down from that. So we'll see if he can work that back up. Neither of these guys are improving anywhere except for Greg Hardy's wrestling. Greg Hardy's wrestling is improving. Other than that, Tuivasa ain't improving anywhere. Improving or trending, he's trending down, I should say. That's a better way to say it. Strength of schedule, Greg Hardy. It's pretty close, actually. Tuivasa's wins have been better. Is that true? He fought Harry Hunsucker. Okay. Tuivasa's wins have been better than Hardy's, apparently. Yeah, Maurice Green and Jorgen De Castro. I guess so. Graphs. What can you say? Hardy's look better, that's for sure. Striking data. Pretty much average. Hardy's a little bit better than average, and in fact, he does rule this category over Tuivasa pretty easily, pretty significantly. The accuracy is pretty close, but the defense is not. So you got to give that to Hardy there. Knockdown data. Tuivasa is definitely more powerful. Definitely more powerful than Hardy, but he's also more chinny. So take that with a grain of salt. Takedown data, I mean, there's not much to look at here, but you're definitely going Greg Hardy in every single category. Okay? Control time, negligible. I think they both do as much as they take, so it's pretty much negligible there. Striking data, what's jumping out at me here? Clinch defense. So Greg Hardy's pretty good in the clinch. That's what that tells me. Although he doesn't like the clinch. So that's who knows? Who knows? All right. And that's another one we might get into later in the week. We might deep dive on the main 3 fights. So, on to the co-main event of the evening, which I do think is 3 rounds. There's no reason why it should be 5, I don't think. Gilbert Durinho Burns versus Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson. I am blurred out again. I really got to figure out. Maybe it's because I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much moving. I got to sit here like a news anchor. Welterweight fight. 5'10", 6 foot. So Stephen Thompson does have the 2-inch height advantage. Does have a 4-inch reach advantage, and is 3.5 years older than Gilbert Burns. 19-4 for Burns professionally, 12-4 in the UFC, and 16-4 for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. 16-4-1, excuse me. In the UFC is 11-4-1 with that draw coming to one of the. Was it the first fight against Woodley, I believe. Ass whoop index 66.46 compared to 4.89. Pretty good on both parts. Power index is there for both guys. Chin index is definitely there for both guys. But Wonderboy is a little bit better. Vegas thinks that Stephen Wonder. Oh, this line is completely flipped. At first it was Gilbert Burns. Now it's Wonderboy Thompson. That's the way I was leaning for sure, especially after what Kamaru did to him. He didn't hardly have to wrestle with him at all. It was just striking, and he smashed Gilbert Burns. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I mean, what do you have to say about his striking that hasn't been said already? So I'm not really expecting this to be much of a ground fight. DraftKings data, decently scored for Wonderboy, 2.5 to 1.85. Better for Burns, 2.96 compared to 2.26, both with positive differentials there. Both do decently well when they win, 97.65 compared to 94.4. And we've got grappler versus striker. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. You can grapple with Thompson a little bit, but he's definitely a striker. He's not going to let you get inside at all. He's going to keep you at distance. That's what he does in every fight. So we'll have to see if Burns can react to that and actually get inside, or if he's going to just get popped from outside all night long. Finishes, as far as finishes go. Oh, jeez. And I'm going to have to edit this.